Welcome back, folks, to another day of percent applications, I guess you could say. Now, I'm going to spend a little extra time on simple interest, but I'm also going to review a little bit of everything. So while this looks like the previous lesson, where we're going to focus on simple interest, maybe with a couple extra examples, I'm going to do all the percent stuff that we've been talking about. And just a reminder, as you know, percent always compares to 100. You get that. And then, of course, we have part versus whole, which naturally we would look to that relationship. When you're asking 34% of 90, you got to know that 90 is the whole. You want to find the part. Then we looked at increase or decrease, which can be abbreviated as change, I guess you could say, compared to the original amount. And of course, that's when something is going up or down, when something is changing. Last but not least, we talked about percentage of error. Now you can write error or you can write how much you are off compared to the exact amount. Now, all those, of course, are ratios or relationships of two different things, part versus whole, percent versus 100, how much you are off versus the exact amount. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So I'm not going to ask you, I guess this usually would be a whiteboard activity, which we're not even going to be able to do in class. Maybe we could use our computer, just Google Keep or some blank what am I trying to say? Some kind of software you can just write on like a whiteboard. And please go ahead and write the ratio. And the idea is that if I give you a percent, like maybe I say 15%, you go ahead and you write 15 out of 100. And I say, hey, the part of it is 16, and you need to find the whole. And that's the goal for today. I'll call this a first step and stop activity. Now, if you want to pause the video at any time, solve it, I will give you the answer as well. But just to remind you of all those things, you're even welcome to write those down on some notes right next to you to help you set the following problems up. So pause for a moment, go to your board, try to substitute in where would the 19 go, where would the 15 go, 52 go, where would the n go, pause, come on back when you're ready. So because the 19 is the percent, naturally that compares to 100 because 19% of something, well, that means that the entire thing is 52, and we want to find that part. Therefore, 19 compares to 100 and n compares to 52. Pause at this time if you really want to practice those solving skills. Come on back when you're ready and I'll show you the answer. Solving for this, it's exactly 9 and 88/100. All right, onward we go. Let's do it again. I want you to say, let's say your guess is 79 M&Ms are left in the bag. Meanwhile, the actual number is 89 M&Ms. You can see where we're going here. What is the percent of error that's your guess? All right, pause. Come on back when you're ready. Naturally, any question that asks for percent, the missing piece is compared with 100. Meanwhile, how much are we off? 79. But notice the exact amount, 10 is how much we're off. The exact amount is 89, so we compare 10 to 89. Pause if you wish, solve, come on back when you're ready. And if you found the percent would be approximate because it does go on for a long time. So 11 and 2400% is your percentage of error, which is, it's a pretty close guess for all those M&Ms. Onward we go, pause, come on back. Once again, we see a percent compares to 100. That's the missing piece. Meanwhile, 79 is the original. How much does it actually increase? This one increases a good 31. So that's the other relationship comparing the change or increase of 31 compared to the original of 79. Pause if you wish and solve and come on back. If you did in fact solve this, it'd be about a 39 and 2400% increase. And onward we go. Pause. Come on back when you're ready. Now notice here, 6 and 4/10%, not a big deal, but in this case, it actually gives us the piece, the part. So 1 and 3/10 compares to the total or the whole amount of n. Pause if you wish to solve. Come on back. If you did solve, you would find that the entire thing would be about 20 and 31 hundredths. And pause, come back when you're ready. So here we go with a 24% off discount. Well, that immediately tells me that 24 compares to 100. Meanwhile, if you think about this, 24% really stinking close to a quarter, but they give us the original amount of $350. What they're asking for is that discount, that piece that you can take away. Now, notice the question here does not ask how much would you owe or how much would you pay, but it asks for the discount. Okay, pause, come back when you're ready. If you did find the discount, it'd be 84. Meanwhile, just a reminder that if it didn't ask how much is the discount, if it asked how much was owed, then go ahead and say, all right, it decreased or went down $84. And so you would owe to it. It all depends on what the question's asking. Here's the discount. Here's how much you would pay. Pause, come back when you're ready. It says percent of error, ladies and gents, therefore percent compares to 100. The exact amount is the easiest to find, but how much were we off? If you guessed 300 and it really was 260, then you're 40 off. Now, please notice you don't need to do a positive or a negative. That's not the point. If you really wish, you could write your final answer as you were such and such percent too high, such and such percent too low. But the question is just asking for what the percent of error is. If you want to, pause, solve, come back. 15 and 38 hundredths percent too high. Pause, come on back when you're ready. 90% immediately points us 90 versus 100. Meanwhile, what's interesting here, we actually know the part. We do not know the entire thing. So we'd have to find that missing piece, or better yet, use 45, compare it to the total, and we can then find it. Pause if you wish, solve it, come on back if you're ready, when you're ready. So we got 50 questions in all, which makes sense. Pause, come on back when you're ready. Being a percent of increase or decrease problem, we compare the change versus the original. Now, originally, Arturo was earning 20 bucks. How much did it increase? It went up 8. And so we compare 8 versus 20, and then the question is naturally finding what is the percent, which is compared to 100. Pause if you want to solve. Come on back when you're ready. And in this case, it was a 40% increase. Oh, my bad. I should have written that letter I there. You got to train yourself. That will be on the test. So, folks, that's what we have. If you want, pause, come on back when you're ready. This is the assignment. I'm going to do a couple more examples here straight from the textbook. So if you want, pause and come on back. All right, so I'm looking at the bottom of page 260. If you wish, read the example. I'll do example A and then example B. So pause, read, come on back. Now, the first thing I write for any problem is the interest formula. And what I like to do is it says how much interest. I tend to circle what we're trying to solve for or find, but that means, ladies and gents, that we should be able to identify the principal, the rate, and the time. Now, in example A, it says you have to borrow $1,250. So that's the principal. The rate is a 14% interest rate. Just remember, you are not writing 14%. You're changing it or converting it to its decimal or fraction form. But I'm not going to write 14 over hundredths. I'll just write 14 hundredths and decimal form. Last but not least, 3 years. We write 3 years. And now, because this is a simple multiplication, 1,250 times 1,400 times 3, that's all you got to do. Interest will be $525. Naturally, is going to get a little tougher. So once again, I write the formula. If you want pause, read example B. Now, example B says, what is the interest rate? I'm going to circle that, which means in order to solve this, we should know everything else. We have to know the principal, we have to know the time, and interestingly enough, we have to know the interest. Now, it says Brian borrowed $400 for 6 months. $400, okay, that's the immediate amount of money. And then 6 months, notice that 6 months is not in years. You may write 6 over 12, you may write 1 over 2. Shoot, you could even write a half of a year in decimal form. But make sure you don't write 6, which would signify 6 years. Meanwhile, it says that he paid $32 in interest, so that is where the 32 goes, ladies and gents. Now notice that our ultimate goal is to find the rate. 32 doesn't change, but what's 400 times a half? Well, half of 400 is 200 times some mystery amount. All right, we know how to solve this equation. Let's divide both sides by 200, which would give us R equals. And in this case, we would have a decimal. Now that's a good answer, but it's not a great answer. Usually we would prefer to change this into a percent, and since that says 1600ths, we write 16%. Notice there is no parts, pieces, or portions after it, so it's not 16.5, 16.82%. The interest rate in this case is 16%. If that helps to circle the one piece of information that's missing, then substitute in the rest. If you look at the problems on left and right, look at how they're similar, look at how they're different. Pause if you want to think about that and then come back. Notice the similarities. There's one missing piece. On the left, the I is missing. On the right, the R is missing. Notice the similarities in that if there's one missing piece, all the other quantities must be known. Big difference is in example A. All you have to do is multiply. In example B, yes, we will multiply, but we'll then have to solve. And lastly, with example B, you have to change a decimal answer because it's a rate. We want to change that decimal into its percent form. So more similarities and differences that perhaps you came up with. Well, that's what we got. So I'm going to continue helping you guys with this assignment. Quiz tomorrow is on the entire second half of Chapter 9 in the textbook, the last week and a half of the assignments. That's what I got for today, folks. Take care, do well, and let's grow.